First of all, gosh, thank you for coming out. It's an honor to be, brought forth by not only Carrie, but other people in the hospital who said, gosh, you should really go and teach a class like this. In the afternoons, it's pretty common for my group of people down at Summit to run an exercise class, because a lot of the people do a Spartan challenge, which is, if you haven't seen it, look it up on the internet. It's crazy people running over obstacles and down through mud and all this wonderful stuff, and that's what makes them happy, and that's their path to fitness. So, we started training in the afternoon, and it would be 45 minutes to an hour of exercise, and people really enjoyed it. And there's a lot of gentle poking of fun, and there's a lot of camaraderie that goes among us, and we found that the exercise and that relationship among all of us, is really a nice thing. People do a lot better when they get a little exercise in throughout the day. And even if it's only 15 minutes or 20 minutes, and some people drop by for 10 minutes. But what I continually hear is, gosh, it was 10 minutes, but we all told jokes for 10 minutes. We laughed and we exercised at the same time. And that type of behavior, it really builds a relationship between you and the people that you work with. And that's a great thing. So Carrie asked me to create this not to create wellness, but to create an exercise or an introductory to exercise program, which really is the hardest piece of the entire equation. Creating an advanced exercise program for people who are gung-ho, well, that's no problem. They know what to do. They want to work really hard and they want to do all these other things. Getting your foot in the door is where the most difficult position is. And right here at the beginning of the new year, where people say, okay, here it is, I'm gonna turn myself into the new me, this is the new year, this is the, and we run into obstacles. So I wanted to give you some ideas and some information and some encouragement about starting this new program for yourself, or at least getting some ideas about starting a program. And I started it with a quote from Hillel the Elder, a famous Jewish quote here, which is kind of paraphrased. Really, the quote itself is a little bit lengthier and more philosophical. But for my version, it simply says, if not me, then who? If not now, then when? And I encourage you all to think about that, because the idea is this. If you don't start this, no one will do it for you. You can listen to me, who is technically an expert in the area, and you can hear all the words I say and say, okay, that's a great idea, and then go home and do nothing. It has to come from you. All of this has to come from you. Information gathering, that's your responsibility, and action taking is your responsibility. And the last question, if not now, when? For me, every day is tomorrow. I'll get that tomorrow. I'll get that tomorrow. I hear it every single day. I hear it from patients. I hear it from athletes. I hear it, let's work on that tomorrow. I'm so tired. There's always tomorrow in the equation. And really what we need to do is recognize it for today. We need to make our responsibilities for right now. So, that's me, all the weird things I've done. Carrie kind of related to all that stuff. And yeah, I have a lot of strange experience, but it's been a lot of fun. So, the first thing I wanted to talk about are some simple guidelines, a little bit of the puzzle piece here. And one of them is the standard disclaimer: if you're not physically capable of performing an exercise routine as per your physician's recommendation, you probably shouldn't do a lot of our exercise stuff here. A second caveat, which I just thought of, is we're going to use some latex bands today. And you don't have to do it, absolutely, it is completely up to you. But if you're really allergic to latex, or even if it in the air starts to give you trouble, let us know so we don't have to take you to the other side of the building. That would be good. We don't like to kill people during presentations. I got specific directions not to kill anybody during the presentation, so I'll do my best. And the second part really kind of goes back to what we were talking about. You must realize an exercise program is a small piece of wellness. All right, it's just the little piece in the corner, because wellness itself is not just a physical event; it's a mental event. And we'll continue to talk about this as we go. But this is a small thing when it comes to weight loss, general wellness, whatever your goal for this program is. We need to make sure that there's not just one little piece that you can say, okay, if I do this, I will get stronger, be happier, have more fun, X, Y, and Z. It's never that easy. It's never that easy. I'm so sorry to tell you, and you already know this, but it's just never that easy. There are so many components to being well, So we'll talk about the cut-down version of wellness that I made. And I found a paper doll model that looks like a really strange naked little man. But I like the picture. Oh, that's cute. And the running brain is awesome. So for the scope of the presentation, we'll consider wellness into two basic categories, which are physical and mental wellness. Now, if you look at the psychological definition of wellness, you'll see mental, physical, spiritual, career. There's 40 categories that kind of make a well person. But I'm just going to make it a simple concept of physical and mental wellness. And I believe they're all so intertwined that it's really hard. If you don't put a piece of the puzzle together, you just don't get the whole picture. It's the truth. The puzzle piece, you're missing an integral puzzle piece. It's like you're missing the eyes on the animal when you have the puzzle put together. I don't know, it's a cow. Oh, it's a cow. All right. The first quote I put up here, we're not really sure who came up with it, whether it was Maya Angelou or John Wooden. John Wooden for sports, love it. Maya Angelou, amazing leader. Well, nothing will work unless you do. This is the fate of the majority of our exercise equipment right here. It's a wonderful clothes rack. Yes, my exercise bike is a fantastic clothes rack. My Bowflex holds 14 shirts. You wouldn't believe it. My weight bench. Oh my gosh, you should see how many folded pants I can get across the weight bar. This happens. This is the fate of many of our exercise equipments. Go to Craigslist, go to Palouse ads, and you will see this right here. You will see somebody saying, gosh, I loved this idea when I got it, and I was going to do wonderful things. I was going to ride the bike and watch television. I was going to Bowflex while I ate Cheerios. Actually, there's food right here if you can't see it. This is the fate of much of our exercise equipment. So the question posed is, what things will cause you to start an exercise regimen, and why are you deciding that this is the time? And we see a lot of weird reasons, and I never want to call them bad reasons, because it's always a good reason. It's always good to think, I really need to start something, I really need to start moving. But when we look at them written out, it almost seems a little silly. Well, why do I want to start exercising? It's the holiday months. I want to be able to eat more cake. All right, I want to be able to eat all the cookies that come into the break room. It's close to swimsuit season. I want to look good in a swimsuit. I want to impress other people with how I look in a swimsuit. I want to eat more junk food. I want to be healthy. I want to look good. I want all these things. And I get so concerned with people focusing on one idea of, I want to look good in a swimsuit, or I want to be, I just want to be great at this. And my overall concern for wellness as a population kind of revolves around wants versus needs. Okay? Wants and needs are the conversations that you have with your kids all the time. All right? You want this, but you need this. You want $90 Air Jordan shoes. You need something that covers your feet and stops you from stepping on sharp rocks. And this is a tough concept because of the way our media is today and the way our world is today. We see a lot of wants versus needs. This is what we are conditioned to want, whichever one you want to either have or have next to you. We're not here to judge. Whichever one you want, that it's put through to you on the television, in magazines, and all these things of, gosh, I really want that. That is what healthy is. That is what that is what good is. And we almost have kind of lost sight of really what kind of is good, which is breathing, standing upright, moving, and living. All right. So we forget that the reality of these people here. My gosh, look at these people. Well, they got there for a reason, because their job, their life, is as a fitness model. Okay, you don't do this very often unless you're a fitness model. So as a fitness model, you go to the gym for work. All right, I don't know about the rest of you, but today I didn't go because the baby's got an ear infection, but every morning when I go to Summit to go to work, there is exercise gear there, don't get me wrong, but it's not something that I'm going to use for 6 to 8 hours. I'm going to work with patients, I'm going to do whatever, then I'm going to go out to the high school and take care of kids there. I don't spend times in between patients doing curls. That would be odd. You guys don't either. You don't stop patient care to then, oh, hold on, let me do a cut. a couple sets of push-ups here. That doesn't make sense for most of us. Okay, so the wants versus the need. Yeah, I want to be this guy, and well, I don't want to be that girl, but I want these things. But what I need is a healthy heart and a sound mind, and I need general wellness. So I want you to really consider your wants versus needs in exercise, because these wants versus needs factors drive a lot of choices for our health and wellness. And a lot of times we think, oh gosh, well, I want that, and the commercial told me that if I do P90X, or if I do Insanity, or Asylum, or I can name 400 other exercise programs, well, if I do this, then in 32 days, in 25 minutes, in whatever strange agenda of time they've created, I can be this guy. Sorry, you're probably not going to be, unless you dedicate yourself as a fitness model, which, okay, awesome, you're a fitness model, that's great. But you're probably not beginning an exercise program as a fitness model. Today, we're beginning an exercise program. All right, Lee Haney, amazing, huge monster of a man, wrote something that is deeply profound in the idea of exercise. Lee Haney was Mr. Olympia. He's just a big, monstrous human. But he wrote this because after he got to a point, he started to realize, we must exercise to stimulate, not annihilate. And if you see, this is a person holding up this rock, and it's not a person holding up a rock. Obviously, they're sitting there with an image, and they've made it look that way. But there's so much out there today that will just, the programming that will just absolutely tear you up. Because, oh, well, you know, let's watch The Biggest Loser and say, okay, let's see what The Biggest Loser contestants do every day. They limit their calories to, 15 to 1,700 calories a day, and they exercise for 8 hours straight every day. Well, that's a lot. Yeah, they're going to lose weight. Yeah, they're going to get in better shape. But look at where they are, and look what they do. A lot of them don't make it through that program because they're not just looking to stimulate their bodies. They're looking to annihilate their bodies. And a lot of times we get patients in at the PT clinic that come in with shoulder issues or hip issues, and we say, gosh, what have you been doing? Well, I just got the new P90X, or I just got the P90X 3000, or I got the, whatever P90 is up to at this point, I'm not really sure. But they've gone to this point of such explosive, such a dynamic, program that people aren't ready for it. Average Joe sees it on TV and says, oh, 25 minutes a day? No problem, I can get results like this. These things must be taken for a grain of salt, like everything on television. We have to be careful. The world wasn't formed in a day, nor were you. Set small goals and work to achieve them. And the one thing I want you to do in this goal setting, we could talk for hours and hours and hours about goal setting, but the one thing that I encourage all clients, athletes, and people I work with to do is set a tangible goal with measurable outcomes. Okay, and by that, I mean, if I want to be able to walk a mile, well, that's fine, but I can certainly walk a mile. It's just how slow can I do it? Well, one day I'm going to walk a little faster, the next day my foot hurts, so I walk a little slower. All these things start messing with how I got to that mile. So if I set some tangible goals, like, yes, I want to walk a mile, but I want to walk it in X amount of time. So the first day I walk my mile and say, okay, it is a 11-minute mile. By next week, I would like to make that a 10:30. Well, no problem. I can shave 30 seconds off if I walk a little bit faster. And those tangible times and those tangible measurements are going to help you progress. If you don't have a tangible outcome, if you say, well, I want to walk a mile and I want to feel good. Oh, dude. Last night I slept for 2.5 hours. I had 2.5 hours of sleep, and I guarantee if I walk my mile today, I'm not going to feel good. Because I slept for 2.5 hours. There's a screaming child. One of my coworkers is kind enough to run to my house and take care of her for me while I'm here doing this. But I'm not going to feel good about that. So then how do I feel about my exercise program? My program's not working. You always feel about your program as per your last workout. All right? If you didn't have a great last workout, you always think, oh man, my program's not working. I have to change it up. Or I got to stop it. It's not working at all. I need to get the one on TV. I need to get my body to do the thingy with the ripples and there's too much concern. A tangible outcome with a tangible measurement with a measurable outcome. All right. I wrote in here in the bottom, P90X is good for business. It's great for business. We see lots of shoulders and knees come in. People say, I did P90X. Oh, man, thank you, P90X. Send me another patient. I wrote this in the idea that, unfortunately, we must be somewhat harsh about you being responsible for your health and wellness. There's an expectation that we can fix things with a drug or a recipe for exercise or something that makes perfect, oh, this makes everything so easy. And really, you are responsible for your own health and wellness. Ultimately, you are responsible. No one will do it for you. No one will come in and fix it for you. And if they do set the program for you, you're probably not going to be super happy with it. This has to come from yourself. And the education to, oh gosh, well, we have to do this many squat thrusts and this many, push-ups and this many pull-ups. Even that is designed for certain populations. And you have to design something that's going to work for you. And you're all more than capable of doing that. We're going to give you some exercises and some ideas today. But you have to modify them. You have to be responsible for this. Because, like I said in the thing here, no one will come in as your white knight and save you. No one will jump in and say, oh, let me fix this exercise for you. Let me do this for you. Let me do that for you. And people often get frustrated and say, well, I don't know if I'm exercising right. I should just quit anyways. My knee still hurts. My back still hurts. I don't want to do any of this. The exercise on, say, TV didn't work for me. I don't want to do it. And they fold up their hands and they say, I'm done. But really, 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 you have to be responsible and say, yes, it's not working for me. Maybe I should look for some help. Maybe I can find somebody that does know. Maybe I should just try something a little different instead of just saying, I'm done. And a person that is generally working towards their wellness hopefully has resources around them, which this program and all these people around you are looking to help you. So that's why we're going to use them. Life gets in the way of your exercise program. It is your responsibility to adjust. You will have a day where the baby doesn't let you sleep, where it's too cold to run outside, where you don't want to go to the pool, where your knee hurts. Okay? It is your responsibility. It is your responsibility to make an adjustment. And you can blame all of these things around you and say, well, oh, the baby, X, the Y, the Z. Yes, those things are going to get in the way. That's called life. That's what it does. We're all very well aware of that right at this point. Things will get in the way. You have to make an adjustment. And if your adjustment is, I'm not going to work out today, that's okay. Absolutely, that's okay. If your knee hurts so bad that you don't want to exercise that day, that's all right. But if then the next day is the same problem, and the next day is the same problem, and the next day is the same problem, and you continually come up with the same excuse, well, what are you going to do about that? When are you going to take that responsibility to say, man, my knee is still messy. Maybe I need to go see someone. Or maybe I should just do upper body today. But can I adjust my exercise program accordingly? Absolutely. Absolutely. All you have to do is make that adjustment and be willing to do it and be willing to take responsibility for it. Like I said, there's no pill. Xenadrin, fat burner, magic happy pill, green tea, explosive oats, 5,000 pills, raspberry ketones, strawberry ketones, upside down ketones, pineapple ketones. All of these things, they may help. And for the most part, they're not going to hurt you. And I wouldn't say, gosh, if you take a supplement that makes you feel really good and helps you with memory and helps all these other things, awesome. But they're a part of the equation for you. And your equation is different than every single other person's equation. All right? Don't let anybody lie to you. It's going to take a certain amount of exercise for you to do something, and it's going to take a certain amount of exercise for another person to do something. My wife can work out for 3 weeks, drop a dress size, and be happy. Makes me want to push her down the stairs. If I did that for 3 weeks, it wouldn't do anything. It wouldn't change me at all. All right? We're in two different places. We have two different metabolisms. We're two different people. Okay? And you have to recognize that you're a different person. You are going to change according to your physiology, your morphology, how your body's built, and a bunch of other factors. And the fact that you're going to adjust for your own life. If your life is exactly like your partner's life or exactly like another person's life, like the fitness model from TV, well, if your life is like the fitness model, then you're doing something awesome. But none of the rest of our lives are like that. We have to adjust accordingly. All right, there's no perfect cookbook approach, which we just kind of went over. And this is my favorite. I say this over and over again. If it was easy, everybody would do it. And it's the truth. If it was easy, all of us would. If it was a pill, we'd all take it. If it was something as simple as doing this squat, we would all be doing this squat. But it's not. If it was easy, everybody would do it. But you got to figure if everybody's doing it, it's most likely not the right thing to do. Okay? Not in the sense of, gosh, I'm sick, I need an antibiotic. Well, everybody's taking antibiotics, you shouldn't take those. No, but in the sense of an exercise regimen. All right? In the sense of an exercise regimen, the fads that go on are simply that, fads. And you must find the thing that you can accomplish, you feel good about, makes you feel good, and does all these other things that doesn't blow you out of the water. If you do your exercise program and it makes you so sore the next day that you can't get from the commode to standing, well, that's not a reasonable exercise program, unless you want to do that every Sunday so you can just hang out on the commode all Sunday. Well, it's up to you. If that's a good day for you, have a great time. But it's not for most people. They want to exercise, feel good about themselves, get those healthy benefits. They're not absolutely looking for fitness model mode. They just want to feel better. And that's what I want for you. I want you to be able to feel better. I want your wellness. I want your wellness. And so do you, most likely. All right. I gave you the most simple protocol I could come up with. And it's the one backed by science. It's the one backed by everything else that we know about. And it doesn't involve 1,000 push-ups. First of all, it is simple. Warm up. All we have to do is warm up. If you're going to exercise, you need to take a little bit of time to warm up. And a warm-up is something that simply gets the blood moving. I'm not going to ask you to run 1.5 miles. I'm not going to ask you to do a million things. All you need to do is move your body. Okay? Now, even sitting to standing is a little bit of motion. Is it enough for a warm-up? Shoot, if you do it for 5 minutes, it is. For 5 minutes, warm up. I don't care what you do, just get your blood moving. Now, that kind of precludes the idea, do I need to warm up so much that I'm all the way from the ground, jumping up in the air and then making a huge ruckus of things? It doesn't need to be explosive. All you need to do is move your body. Anything explosive, let's save that for the exercise itself, okay? Stretch. Do you need to spend 10 minutes stretching your body? Some of you do. Some of you will want to. Gosh, stretching feels really good. Well, yoga's right up your category. I just want to warm up, get a nice, good muscular stretch on. Well, yoga's great for you. Why not be there? That's an absolute great program for you. The other thing is, if we have areas that are problematic, my hamstrings are tight. Well, I'm going to stretch my hamstrings a little bit. And it's going to be simple. I don't need to spend 10 minutes on the floor, rotating, going through all these big programs. Just a little stretch will get things going for you. Now you're warm, you're stretched, and finally, exercise. It's all about you picking your poison, all right? And unfortunately, I don't love to exercise. And there are people that absolutely love it, and more power to you. I think that's a fantastic thing. To me, exercise is not a super good time. If I had my choice, I'd rather sit down and, well, I'd rather make other people exercise, honestly, but to sit there and exercise hard for me doesn't feel like great. I still have to do it because it's my responsibility to myself. Right? I have to be able to sprint up to 300 yards to get out to a kid in the outfield. I have to be able to sprint 100 yards during football season to get from one end zone to the next in case a kid goes down. I have to be able to get up and down a basketball court to do these things. So those are my responsibilities. If I'm doing my job well, I can do those things. So I have to make sure that I can do them. And I don't love preparing for that. I hate that. I hate getting up off the ground and sprinting, and it doesn't feel good, but I know it's my responsibility. No one's going to come in and do it for me. I can't just rely on another person. Hey, run over and get that kid for me. They kind of frown on that. That's my job. So it's my responsibility. So you'll have to pick the poison that you like. All right. One of the biggest things about exercise, do something that you like. Otherwise, you'll stop doing it, right? For me, it's more of a responsibility. Okay, well, that's how I do it. I see it as a responsibility, therefore I take care of it. For you, you may say, gosh, I really like rollerblading. Awesome, do it. As long as it's not snowing or there's some other crazy factor that's going to create a problem, do the things that you like. And finally, cool off a little bit. Cool down just a little bit. Drink a little water, stretch the trouble areas if they exist. If they don't worry about them. And then have a little recovery snack. These 4 things have been stretched, misconstrued, thrown back and forth throughout science throughout the years. And really, when we get back down to it, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Warm up, move around a little bit, stretch just a skosh, get your exercise in, cool down, go about your day. It makes a difference, and it will help you. Okay? So, enough about exercise and why it's good. You know why exercise is good. You know that exercise is just a component. Nutrition, we could talk about for years. We have amazing dietitians on staff. We have amazing people for understanding what people eat, how they eat it, and why they eat it. I couldn't begin to tell you I can tell you the first things, but why not use them for those resources? They are great for it. I will tell you that nutrition is pretty simple. You know what garbage is? Spam and horrible things and deep double fried extra gross stuff. You know what garbage is. Try not to put it try not to put it in your mouth so often. You know what garbage is? You really do. And your life will get in the way, and your life will tell you, there's so many other things to do. The car needs the tires changed. All these other things need to happen. Yeah, every once in a while you're going to have a deep fried doorstop for breakfast. Okay? Every once in a while is okay. But if you make that habit because it's easy, because everybody else does it, well, they're all at McDonald's waiting in line for their deep fried doorstops. Everybody else is doing it. Probably the wrong thing. All right. There. That's the end of the information. Goodness, we should stop me from talking. It's always a good idea for me to stop talking because I am better at making you do things. So, I brought you all a present. It's probably the least exciting present for you, but for me, I think it's fantastic. Is anybody supremely allergic to latex? Okay, so even in the air, will it bother you? Okay, I'm not going to give you one of these because I really don't want you to puff up unless you're wanting to puff up. No, okay.
I'd like to go the other way.
Okay, fine, if you don't want to hang out in the ED. But we'll modify your exercises, and that's what exercise is really about, is modifying what you can do. So I'm going to give these, oh dear, I'm going to give these to you guys. There's one, there you go, and I'm just going to keep it away from you, goodness. There you go. Oh, that's, you're welcome. There's some there, you're welcome. Oh, and did I short us? Well, I didn't expect so many people. It's so nice to see you all. Let me cut you some more. But I'm giving you these wonderful little bands. And I will tell you, the people in my afternoon workouts and my athletes will tell you the same thing over and over. How is a band kicking my butt? How is a piece of latex rubber making me feel like a fool? Because if you work at it, it can certainly work you out. It doesn't take a super huge membership to the fanciest gym. It doesn't take the most expensive equipment. It doesn't take the most amazing thing. All it takes is a little bit of discipline, right? Being disciplined to wake up and do the job. Being disciplined to say, yes, I need to exercise today. Being disciplined and saying, yes, I am tired. Well, of course you're tired. If you weren't tired, gosh, oh man, did I short that again? Goodness gracious, here we go. Kathy, will you hand those around for me?
You need 2 more.
2 more, very good. Ouch.
Doesn't get too hard.
Okay. Now, this is a lovely scarf, if you'd like it that way. I actually got this to match some of your clothing. I saw you come in, thought, it's Blue Day. But these bands are simple
I'm gonna film it.
and will do the job. I'll pick on Kelly for a minute because Kelly comes into my my activity class in the afternoon, so does Kathy. And how many times have I made you guys use these bands?
Like daily almost?
And what's worse, the weights or the bands?
The bands.
Bands are the worst. I promise these bands
The bands.
are a lot harder than weights. Do you have room in your house for weights? Probably not. Do you have room in your house for bands?
Yeah.
I'd say so. All right, so we're going to leave you seated, but what I will do is ask you to move the chairs in front of you and to the side of you back a little bit, because I want to give you a chance to be in your seat and do what we can with these, but get yourself a little space so you don't whack your neighbor, unless you want to whack your neighbor. I mean, it's okay. All right.
That's all right.
Now you can either sit or stand, but we're going to warm up just a little bit. And like I said, a warm up doesn't have to be anything super aggressive. It just needs to get the blood flowing. So if you're seated, whoop, throw a chair. No, don't throw a chair. Goodness. If you're seated, what we're going to have you do is we're going to have you lift a leg and touch each hand to each leg. If you're standing, and you can wear your band as a scarf right now, and if you are allergic to latex, don't wear the band as a scarf. If you're standing, we'll do the same thing. We'll just touch knee to hand, okay? Now, people say over and over, how many should I do? Should I do 3 sets of 10, 3 sets of whatever? I'll tell you, the nicest thing in the world are these little phones that have a countdown timer that will count down from 30 seconds. 30 seconds of any movement is enough to kind of get the blood move, or is enough to get things moving and make you feel good about things. And that's all we need is 30 seconds of warm-up. Which, if you want to move any way you want to move, that's great. If your shoulder doesn't allow you to touch across that way, well, don't go there. It's that simple. If doc, it hurts when I do this. Well, don't do that. It's the most simple principle. So we do these wonderful, nice warm-up motions, and we feel okay with them. And we should be at about 30 seconds right there. So now, if you're seated, I'm going to have you put your feet out a little bit. You'll reach down, come up tall, reach down, come up tall, all right? One thing I want you to make sure of is that when you're seated, you have a little curvature in your low back, all right? If you're standing, we're going to split out a little bit. We're going to reach down and lunge, come up tall, reach down and lunge, come up tall, okay? So these nice little warm-up exercises are moving our legs, our hips, our back, our belly, and our arms. And that's really what we need. We've got about, 15 or 20 seconds right now. You can go ahead and keep on moving into those. Sit if you need. Modify everything. If your back starts to hurt during this, modify it. Don't bend as much at your back. Try not to move so much with so much rotation. Find a motion that's going to work for you. The worst thing about an exercise is doing the same thing over and hurting yourself over and over again. I don't want you to hurt yourself over and over again. And in fact, I don't want you to come out of this exercise painful. I want you to feel like you've done something and relax. I forgot my countdown timer on my phone today because trying to find it would show my ineptness with a phone. Honestly, I would sit there and poke buttons for half an hour, so I'm not going to use it. You can count down in your head. People often say, oh gosh, how many sets do you recommend for this? Or how many sets of 10 or 5 or 20 or you superset or sub-superset or pyramid set? I give people a 1-minute goal. Can you make it to a minute? Can you make it to 30 seconds? That tangible outcome thing? Well, yeah, I can do 30 seconds for it. Okay, well, if you can do 30 seconds, can you do 30 seconds worth of something? Yes. Well, gosh, in a week, can I do 45 seconds? That's 15 more seconds. You can do anything for 15 more seconds, don't you think? As long as you're not killing yourself. Don't reef that spine over in half for 15 more seconds. Treat yourself right. Okay, so I wrote myself a small little list here to remind. Oh, yes. We did enough of an arm exercise, so I'm not going to actually have us warm up our arms. But if you'd like to get a little arm circle in here, that's absolutely fine. So I'm going to give you, my first little stretching exercise, which is going to be a little dynamic. In the 70s, the idea came with you should never bounce when you stretch. You should never ever bounce when you stretch, right? People said, oh gosh, bouncing is the leading cause of spinal explosion in the, goodness. If you never bounced when you stretched, what exercise would you actually ever do? None of your movements as a human could actually be done. If I reach down here to pick this up and pick it up, oh, I bounced when I got down there, correct? The one that you see on the TV where they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they bounce over and over again. Well, that's just the same thing over and over again. But really, when I got down here to pick up the pen off the floor, it was just once. Those bouncing stretches aren't horrible for you when you're appropriately warm and you've done a little bit of stretching. So we've done a little warm up, which is better than most people. Most people, okay, I'm warm, let's get to it. You've done a little bit of warm up, you should feel a little bit warmer, your blood is pumping, you should be fairly happy. So let's do some simple stretches and let's sit, because guess what, I love sitting. Okay, sit in your chair, come to the edge of your chair, right there, and sit up tall if you can. If your back doesn't let you sit up as tall as you possibly can. First thing we're going to do is kick that leg out. Kick it out straight if it'll go straight. If it won't go straight, use the other one. No. Try to get it as straight as possible. And all I want you to do is sit up. No more of this right here. Okay? So if we sit up, a lot of us feel a stretch already right here. Shame, shame, shame. Your hamstrings are tight. That's okay, so am mine. If you don't feel that stretch, sit up, give yourself a good low back, get your shoulders back, get your ears over your shoulders, and I want you to bend forward at your hips. Okay, and Now, do I need you to be in exquisite pain right now for this stretch? No, absolutely not. Find a spot, hang out there, and we're going to hang out for, just 15 or 20 seconds, which we should be getting close to it right now. So now I'm going to teach you a cheater thing that trainers use all the time, and it works really well. Keep the pressure, keep your position, and what I want you to do is kind of drag your heel into the carpet, but don't let your foot move. So we're going to put pressure into the carpet. You'll feel your hamstrings contract a little bit. That's okay. And we'll do that for 5 seconds, and then we'll relax. Now feel where your hamstring is. The pain that you had from this exact back position should have kind of lessened. You actually have got a little more motion now. That's fantastic. So now, since you've got more motion, what I want you to do is give it a little bit more. I'm never pleased. I'm never exactly happy unless you've got a little bit more. So now we'll use our hips and back and we'll slide forward a little bit more. And there's that wonderful familiar stretch sensation again. I don't need exquisite pain. I just need stretch. And that is completely dependent on you. Right? You have to know your limitations. You have to know where things are appropriate. And you have to make a conscious decision not to blow yourself up about this. All right, so we've had, 5 or 10 seconds here. We'll give it about 5 or 10 more, or well, let's say 2 or 3 more. And then we're going to do the same pull. Pull your foot into the ground, a little bit of pressure. Nice. 5 seconds, 3 seconds, 2, 1. Relax. And as you relax it, it's nice and it feels good again. And put the pressure on it again. So you can see what our goal is to try and actually get a good stretch out of that with a good back position. You don't have to be, on the floor. Honestly, if I get to the floor to do my stretching stuff, I don't want to get up off the floor. I think my exercise will just take place on the floor in that situation. So we can do these seated. Let's do an upper extremity stretch. We'll just do one side of leg in essence, or in interest of time. But let's do an upper extremity stretch for our arm. Well, we do. We have arm handles. Now all I have to do is pull across my body. All right? Oh, your arms didn't get chairs. Switch that. Your chair didn't get arms. That's okay. If your chair doesn't have arms, that's okay. Grab the edge right here. Okay, so grab across your body. This is the one thing to be aware of. This shoulder, let's keep it out of our ear hole. Let's keep it nice and low. And then we'll rotate this way. I'm going to have to grab here and rotate this way. You should feel a little pinch here in your chest. And you should feel your posterior shoulder open a little bit. And boy, that's great. Are you standing or are you sitting up straight? That's what I thought. Good. And if we can sit up straight, that feels a lot better. And we relax. Roll our shoulder once or twice, forward, backwards. Grab back to your chair again. And you'll notice as you turn this time, you got a little bit more motion. That's what we're looking for, just a little bit more motion. Good. All right, so you notice that when you're doing all these wonderful work things that we all do, or if you're not doing all these wonderful work things, if you're stuck seated doing whatever it is that you do, you can find a way to stretch. You can interrupt your day for 30 seconds or 20 seconds to get a little stretch in to relieve some of the muscular tension that we do throughout the day. You can stretch those hamstrings there. You can stretch those shoulders there. All right? So I wrote my next thing. I should just bring my list with me. And I have to show you my favorite stretch just because it's one of my favorite stretches. And it is all about being seated. Weird, imagine that. We're going to see if we can cross one leg over the top. And if we can, and hold a good position, that's great. If we can't do this one, we'll just pull this knee up. All right. If your knee is not going to go all the way across to your other leg, that's absolutely fine. Just pull your knee up in this situation. Okay? So, if you can get here, and you can sit up straight, remember the hamstring stretch where we lean forward at the hips and pelvis? Same thing. Lean forward and kind of right about here, right at the back side of your butt should feel like I'm hitting it with a hammer. That little muscle right there, that little grouping of muscles, is really good to stretch. Those are your deep external hip rotators. And if you can, keep good posture and stretch those, where they're going to feel a heck of a lot better. Okay, I'm not going to harp on those. I want to do a couple of these band exercises. And let's do a couple that are seated right away. All right. Now, the great thing about the band, I gave you a big length of it, so you can either pull on one of them, two of them, or four of them, depending on how strong you feel today. I'm going to pull one today. I'm not trying to show off for you guys. I'm just going to pull one. And I'm going to wrap one side. I'm going to wrap it around my left. And then I'm going to grab it on my right. I'm going to draw the bow because I used to love to shoot bow and arrow. All right? You've got to do something in exercise that you like. If you don't, you just won't do it. All right? So for me, I can sit and do this, but I'm going to stand so you can all see. I'm going to guide with my left hand. I'm going to make sure that the rope is coming out from between my thumb and finger so I don't have it wrapped around my thumb and trying to dislocate that thing. Don't dislocate your thumb. You'll need that. And all I need to do is pull back. All right? Oh gosh, that's not enough tension. Oh, how unfortunate. Yes, now it's enough tension. So if I draw the bow and shoot the deer, well, it was a bale of hay in my case, honestly. I couldn't shoot the deer, I was terrible. But I shot the bale of hay a lot. But if you go ahead and shoot the bale of hay, we're at about 10 seconds, and you should feel right about here, this band starting to kick your butt. Dang it. All right, as we are, if we're not working with the band, if we keep our hand up and draw across, put it straight back out, and draw across, just the weight of your arm will give you enough resistance to where, gosh, I'm actually doing something up here. Make sure our ears aren't up in our shoulders aren't up in our ear holes. We're doing just fine. And go ahead and relax because your arm should be tired. And all you have to do now, rotate, wrap it around the other side. Now it seems strange shooting left-handed, unless you're left-handed, and then you're just strange. Oh no, you're not strange. You're just left-handed. You're just different. We still like you. All right, go ahead and draw the bow to the other side. And we'll see if we can't draw this for 30 seconds. And if you feel like it, add another band in there. If you want to triple it up or double it up, go for it. Oh, goodness gracious. I'm going to end up sore out of this class and feel like such a fool. All right. Good. All you got to do is draw the bow. Now, what's to stop you from, say, tying a knot in the end of this guy and shutting it in the door, or tying it around, or tying a knot around something that's stationary? Nothing. This band should be just fine. Will it occasionally break and slap you with the end? Possibly. Won't lie to you. I've certainly slapped people with these before doing exercises. It is possible to certainly break these things. We're not going to worry about it. It's not going to hurt that long, trust me. So, let us consider the possibilities of having these guys. You can tie it in a knot and shut it at the door. You can tie it around the leg of a couch. I'd say couch Don't use a chair like this. You'll flip the chair everywhere and make a huge mess, and then you'll blame me and I'll get in trouble. But certainly, let's step on it. And we'll have our feet shoulder width apart. When I grab it, I want the bottom of the band coming out the bottom of my hands. If I have it coming over the top of my hands, it's going to rip my wrist over sideways. And since I need those, technically I need them, we're just going to make it come out the bottom of our hands so we can grip it with our whole fist. Okay? Is it strong enough? I don't know. It's up to you. This really depends on you. And can we pretend we're skiing? Sure. I don't care what you pretend you do. You can sit there and milk the cow as rapidly as possible. It's a huge cow, there's 2 of them. Honestly, you have to make it good for yourself, all right? It's never going to be fun unless you make it good for yourself. And it has to be fun if you're going to do it over and over again. Yes?
Since there are people with latex allergies, is there a recommendation you can use?
Absolutely. Can of corn. A can of corn. Absolutely. Bag of frozen peas. Plus, if you're sore, you put the frozen peas on the sore part afterwards. Even better. Weights are fine. They just take up a little bit more space. There is this band also that is a non-latex version, and it works really well. It's just a little more spendy. So these bands are everywhere, and they can do the job in a non-latex version. But weights are just as desirable. They're just a little more expensive. Okay. Now we're going to cheat a little bit, and what I want you to do is, since you're standing here, go ahead and tie yourself a nice little knot so you've got a circle around your ankles. Okay. If you don't have a band in this one, it's okay. You can absolutely do 2 different things with this. If you're feeling like you can't stand up quite right, what you're going to do is a modified step out while you're seated. And if you're feeling strong today, what we're going to do, we're going to kind of stand up. We'll sit in the chair, and we'll step out, and step out. That's all we have to do. Sit with your bum, sticking out, shoulders forward, step out, step out. If you can go and step out to the side for a minute, I'm going to be pretty impressed with you. Because within about 20 seconds, you're going to start feeling everything start to hurt. And it shouldn't hurt. It should just get a good muscle fatigue. Okay? Make sure your back's good. Make sure your shoulders are up. Ears aren't in your shoulders. Oh, I lost my step even. Goodness, I'd be the worst in dance. Ooh. All right. It's been about 15, 25 seconds. You should be already tired. Oh, as I am. God, I hope everybody else is tired. No, that's great. So this rubber band, you should be able to feel the result of that, okay? A rubber band, all right? A rubber band, a little time, a little dedication, a little desire, and listening to your body, all right? Absolutely listen to your body. If you do this and your butt falls off, okay, that wasn't a good exercise, but in the sense of not getting smaller, but actually dropping off. Don't do that. The simplest things apply. Use the knowledge that you have. You're all smart, functional humans. So don't do anything that seems completely, if it seems completely ridiculous, like, well, I'll just snap that in the door and snap it at my eyes for an hour. Let's not do that. Let's make smart choices, do the right thing, and gosh, thank you for your time. I want to get you out of here on time. There's about 3 or 4 minutes. I'll throw it out for questions. I know we didn't get as much exercise, but I got talky about my exercise stuff. So, quick questions. Yes. Shoot.
I've heard 2 things.
Okay.
You know, they always do this kind of rolling to stretch.
Sure.
But then I was also told that you should never go to the back. Is that true?
Barring major dysfunction in your neck, if you have a specific condition to your neck, then I would say, if your doctor said, please don't go backwards, your head will just drop right off your shoulders and we'll have to get you a new one. It'll be really expensive. For the most part, we never really have too many problems going through a full range of motion, unless you have some dysfunction in the joints, if you have some osteoarthritis or rheumatoid arthritis, that they've said, gosh, let's not go back there. Certainly listen to your doctor on that one. But we're certainly safe through most of our range right here. I've never had anybody of who is capable of performing an exercise program. I've never had them have a problem in cervical extension unless they had a cervical issue. Yeah. Anything else? Yes, sir.
As much as I think I'm going to remember
Sure.
every one of these little exercises,
Sure.
here, I'll be struggling.
That's okay.
Do you have anything written down with these electronically?
And I don't, but I can. Absolutely. I'll put the images up there, and
if
we'll.
it's verbal or
Sure. We'll put a demonstration, some verbiage to it. We'll put it up there on the internet site for Fulton Regional, I believe. Correct?
Well, if I have your email address, once Kai gets it written down, I can send it to you.
Very good.
I would
So
appreciate
on
it.
your survey form that you fill in, please indicate if you want to have something sent to you with your email address, and Noel can get that out to you.
And the biggest thing about this is it's the freedom given to you by the band. Because honestly, I made up Draw the Bow right now. Draw the Bow was something I made up within 20 seconds. Do I know this is going to be, a difficult motion? Sure. Can you come up with something that geez, what did I do yesterday? Yesterday, I shoveled gravel. Oh, I've got to fix my hand so it doesn't hurt. My floor has a leak. So I shoveled gravel. And then I carried cement. Well, there it was right here. Cement came up with me and came back to the ground. All right. Also, I scraped the floor. All right. Anything you can use, anything you can pull to your head that makes sense and doesn't cause you pain or dysfunction, awesome. As long as you don't slap yourself in the eyes with a band. Don't do that, trust me. Very good. Anything else? All right, folks, thank you for, first of all, dealing with my poster up forever. You guys had to see my face forever. My apologies for that. Second of all, thank you for coming.